So today on Shannon's Take, we are going to talk all about the difference between amateur status and professional. And of course, this comes on the heels of the number one women's gymnast in the world, Simone Biles, making the announcement that she is going to be professional. So this is a topic that came up a lot during my career, and I get asked often, well, if you're a professional, you can't compete in the Olympic Games, right? And of course, that is not the case. Amateur status, professional status makes no difference with regard to women's gymnastics in the Olympic Games. So Simone is all good. She can absolutely put on the red, white, and blue, go out and support Team USA, bring home that gold. So no worries there. The main thing with regard to professional status is that you are giving up your NCAA eligibility. So if you were thinking at all that you might want to compete collegiately in the sport of gymnastics, then you can't become a professional. So that's really the biggest topic of discussion, I think. And for most of the gymnasts out there, they're never going to even have this conversation, need to have this conversation. But for the top of the top of the top, those athletes that are already on a national team, they have already competed at a world championships, are vying for a position at the Olympic Games, very close to the top. Maybe they've already been at the Olympic Games, as we've seen some of the comebacks. Those are the athletes that really do need to have this discussion. It is not the right thing for every athlete. It is a very personal decision, and you really have to weigh the pros and cons very heavily. And you need to talk with others, talk with your parents and your coaches, talk to other athletes, those that have maintained their amateur status as well as those who have gone professional. Find out what they liked, what they didn't like, and just figure out if it's the right thing for you. In my case, I turned professional when I was 13 years old, so I was pretty young. And while that seems like a very heavy decision for a 13-year-old, it was a very simple one for me. My parents simply didn't have the resources to support me financially through very expensive high-level training at that point. I was 2 years away from trying to make the Olympic team, and I had to make the decision to stop training or start accepting some money. And at the time, it's not like it was a lot of money, but if I won a competition and there was a little prize money, great, that helps out. I remember doing a commercial, and I think I got like $100. And so I went and bought a pair of grips, which was awesome. And those lasted me a year. But so while it was a fairly simple decision for me, and of course at the time, I was 13. I thought 19 years old was so old. And how could I possibly be doing gymnastics when I'm that old? Shows you how much I knew. But it was the right decision for me. Is it always the right decision? No. A lot of Olympic gymnasts go on to have amazing collegiate careers. And oh, by the way, they had it paid for. So that's always a plus for both the athlete and the parents. So it's something to be weighed very heavily. And I guess if there was only one other thing I wanted to say about the topic is something specific to those that decide to go professional, and that is just don't let it distract you. That is, I think, the biggest thing that my coach and my parents really helped with is keeping the distractions away, because as soon as you turn professional, all of a sudden you're going to be pulled in 50 million different directions for endorsements and for speaking and for appearances and everything else. Don't let it interfere with your training, your rehab, your rest time, because your rest time is just as important as those 10 bar routines you just nailed. It's so critical that you maintain that focus, keep your eye on the ball, because the ultimate prize is the one that you've been working for years and years. You've worked long hours, you've worked so hard, you've put your body through so much. Don't let that slip away. Keep your eye on the ball. And after next summer, then you celebrate and you go crazy. But keep your eye on the ball, stay focused, and of course, if you are trying to make that decision, make sure you weigh those pros and cons very heavily.
Thanks so much for watching. And of course, you can get more videos below. And if you have a question for me, make sure you tweet it to Shannon Miller 96 with hashtag Shannon's Take. And of course, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can catch up with all of those questions you guys ask. See you next time.